How about Derek Brunson? Wow. Everyone's sleeping
Bro.
on old Derek Brunson, calling him a gatekeeper, a stepping stone. And he just, I mean, first round a little slow, but then end of the second round, you can make a case that fight should have been stopped. And then certainly in the third round, he made it, very apparent that he was the better man that night and beat him up and beat up Edmen Shahbazyan to the point where the referee had to stop it via TKO. How impressed were you with Derek Brunson? And let me also ask you this. Did the UFC make a mistake in hindsight? Hindsight being 2020, was it too soon for Edmen Shahbazyan to fight a guy like Derek Brunson?
I was very impressed with Derek. I think a lot of the general public felt like, okay, Derek's in this role now where he takes on these young up and coming guys and they go past him and they just kind of go forward. But the reality is he's not accepting that. That was Ian Heinisch a year ago, right? That was Ian Heinisch in UFC 241. He was the guy. He was big. He was powerful. He looked good. He was the guy that was supposed to be the next star. Derek put him back. And now Derek has won 3 fights in a row. And he's looking better every time. You look at Derek Brunson, and there was a graphic up on ESPN MMA, and it was the people that he's fought. And it's insane, the murderer's row of guys that Derek Brunson has been in the octagon with. So when these young guys get an opportunity to beat him and propel themselves into those fights, you have to understand that you're fighting a guy that's seen the very best that mixed martial arts has to offer. So if you're not one of the best, he is going to beat you. And he did it to Edmen Shahbazyan. And he withstood it. He withstood the first round, which wasn't awful. It was just close. But then by the second round, you could tell that he was going to run away with the fight. And at the end of the second round, I thought the fight was about to be stopped. It looked like Herb was in there about to stop the fight. And it's crazy because of all the late stoppage controversy a couple weeks prior, that at the end of the second round, Herb looked like he wanted to stop the fight, and the time just ran out. Shahbazyan was done. He looked like he was knocked out. But then right as the third round started, the moment he started to take damage, Herb knew. You could tell by his body language. And that's why he's one of the best officials in the game, right? Because he can read Shahbazyan's body language and see, I don't think this kid wants to be here. And the fight was stopped justly. Wasn't too fast, though. It wasn't too fast. He was number 9 in the world. Derek Brunson's number 8 in the world. That's how it works. It's sink or swim. In our game, you get a chance to fight and beat people and build your resume. But ultimately, by building your resume, you put yourself in line for those types of fights. And we see it, Ariel. I've always said this: tale as old as time, right? That old fairy tale thing, right? The princesses from Disney. It's always going to be that. The veteran has to fight the young guy for the young guy to go to where he needs to be. We've all done it. And it just wasn't Shahbazyan's time. But that's exactly what needed to happen. You always find yourself in those spots. I did it. I fought Josh Barnett, right, to go to the next level. I fought Frank Mir to go to the next level. It's always when you're the prospect, you got to beat somebody to get to that next level. And so it wasn't too quick. It was exactly what needed to happen, because who else is he supposed to fight?
And once again, someone with bleach blonde hair wins. I don't know what's going on. We saw it with Davison Figueroa. I mean, everyone with the bleach blonde hair.
I can't believe you're making these, I don't understand where you're drawing these conclusions from.
What?
Now it's a blonde hair thing.
Yeah. I mean, it just
come
seems
on,
like
Ariel.
it just seems like a trend. But no, I don't believe it was too soon. It was the natural next step for Edmen, as you said, rankings wise, but also, he, like Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson, right? It just made all the sense in the world, and he stumbled. And I don't think that, we should give up on the guy. I don't think that he's a bust. He's only 22. He was 11-0.
Young.
Last 3 fights ended via first round finish. He'll be around. I mean, Derek Brunson was knocked down in the first round by Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya in a similar spot, although Edmen was a little younger than those guys when they fought. And in this case, Derek righted the wrong. And also, let's give a shout out to Henry Hooft, who ever since, Derek linked up with him down in South Florida at Sanford MMA, he's on this 3-fight winning streak. So something good is happening over there for
those guys are building some real momentum down there, because Vicente Luque looked fantastic too.
Gilbert
right? They're
Burns
building
recently,
Gilbert
right?
Burns looks phenomenal. Like, those guys have some real momentum going down there. But Derek Brunson, you're right. Like, and again, as I was talking to, it's a natural progression, right? Israel Adesanya beat I don't know who he beat right before Derek, but I remember UFC 230 in Madison Square Garden. It was like that moment, right?
It was actually Brad Tavares.
It was Brad, right? It was Brad Tavares.
Yes.
So it's like, is Adesanya real? Is he going to be able to get past that guy that's for a long time been in the mix? And he put Derek out, and Robert Whittaker on his way to becoming the champion fought Derek Brunson. So it's like, is Edmen Shahbazyan one of those guys that we can view as a future champ? And Derek just put him in his place. But the reality is, it's very dangerous when you start to view a guy like Derek Brunson as a gatekeeper because he's so good and he's so tough. And when he was losing those fights to those guys, he was training with his homeboys at his house or at his gym. Now he's got a real team at Safford MMA, and those guys are doing real well.
Yeah, I'm curious what they do with him next because I don't know if you saw this, but they announced that Robert Whittaker is going to fight Jared Cannonier. So that's a really important fight. They're not going with Robert versus Jack Hermansson. Hermansson and Darren Till are playing footsie with each other, but Till might be out for quite some time with the torn MCL. So maybe you do Jack Hermansson versus Derek Brunson, right?
You do Hermansson. I think you could do Hermansson Brunson, but the reality is Derek's going to have to sustain a win streak a little. If he's trying to get to a title shot, right? Something that's evaded him this whole time. He'll have to get through a guy like Jack Hermansson, but he's going to have to do another one, right? He's going to have to put together 5-6 in a row because the winner of Jared and Robert is going to fight for the title. And I'm telling you, man, the way Jared Cannonier has looked since going to middleweight, it's scary how good he has looked.
But it will be over a year since his last fight by the time he fights. Man. Plus, he had the torn pec. Have you ever tore your pec?
No. But I had one of my friends tear his pec, and it makes your chest almost half of it is gone.
Yeah.
Right, like almost half of your muscles gone. It shortens everything. Good fight. I'm excited about it. It's a great fight. The middleweight division is on fire right now, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.